The following is a selected topic taken from my recent coding clinic commentary. My name is Barry Libman. This next question and answer is intended to highlight improvements to the index and tabular list that allow the reporting of the diagnosis of critical limb ischemia, a diagnosis that could not be found in the codebook until these changes were made effective October 1st, 2020. Our question asks, how is the diagnosis of critical limb ischemia or chronic limb-threatening ischemia correctly reported in ICD-10 CM? In answer, Coding Clinic advises that we report a code from category I-70, atherosclerosis, to report the diagnosis of critical limb ischemia. Coding Clinic explains that critical limb ischemia that is not further specified in the documentation is coded to atherosclerosis of the extremities with rest pain. Coding Clinic also explains that subentries in the index to diseases and inclusion terms in the tabular list support this advice. Let's see what we can learn from the index to diseases and the tabular list. In the ICD-10 CM index to diseases, under the main term ischemia, we have two subterms, limb, critical, directing us to see the main term arteriosclerosis with critical limb ischemia, and another subterm, limb, threatening, chronic, also instructing us to see arteriosclerosis with critical limb ischemia. We follow the instructional term to see arteriosclerosis with critical limb ischemia because the term C is an inflexible instructional term that requires us to see the term that is indicated, in this case arteriosclerosis, to see if any instructional terms may apply there. Under the main term arteriosclerosis, there are two subterms, one with chronic limb-threatening ischemia that refers us to arteriosclerosis with critical limb ischemia, and then that subterm, critical limb ischemia. Under the subterm critical limb ischemia, and not shown here on the slide, are a broad range of subterms that assist us with specificity of the condition. I refer you to the ICD-10 CM codebook for further exploration of the topic. Now let's have a look at the tabular list. Remember that one of the important points made in the Coding Clinic question and answer explained that critical limb ischemia that is not further specified is coded to atherosclerosis of the extremities with rest pain. Here we display a snapshot of code I-70.22 in the tabular list. Note that the includes notes there explain that code I-70.22 includes critical limb ischemia and chronic limb-threatening ischemia. Critical limb ischemia can also occur with more severe complications of arteriosclerosis. Let's review some of those codes and their inclusion notes. Here you can see that the inclusion notes under the codes for arteriosclerosis with ulcer, with gangrene, or even arteriosclerosis of bypass grafts include the terms critical limb ischemia and chronic limb-threatening ischemia. Thank you for listening. If you have questions or comments, we would very much like to hear from you. Happy coding!